Okay, on to the first question. We will start with Mr. Emma. It's about taxes. If elected, what are your plans to lower our real estate taxes? Thank you. Mr. Didi, please.
I said, while my opponents are busy throwing mud on each other, it looks like, it looks like to me, it looks like the key issue is, first of all, the Board of Ed needs to make sure that the discretionary spend that they have, it needs to be brought into some check, because our ratings are going down, but the expenditure per child has been going up. And there's some disconnect there, and we need to look into that matter very carefully. The Board of Ed this year it endorsed a flat tax, and I understand that that the current chairman of Board of Ed is running for assembly. Maybe that affected the issue. But as a result, we are shortchanged by almost $1 million, and we also got to make sure that the pilot money that is coming in, it is allocated appropriately, both partly after the discretionary spend is in check, partly to the Board of Ed and partly to reduce taxes.
You have 30 seconds more if you want to.
I think I've said my bit.
Okay, we will move on to the next question then. This will be starting with Mr. Impreviduto. It's about the pilot. How should we allocate the millions in pilot revenue coming from Bell Works? Will the Board of Education share in these benefits in order to prevent tax increases? Two-part question. Mr. Didi.
Well, talking about security issues and schools, that's a whole different ballgame. That brings us to issues that are perhaps not even pertinent to the township discussion. Schools have suffered all across the country, and these are issues connected to gun violence. And I don't think that security issues by spending some money to protect schools is going to entirely stop those issues. Number one. Secondly, I think that the pilot money, of course, it needs to stabilize a little bit first. I believe that last year the pilot money went down, and as a result, some of the companies who were part of the Bell Works program were able to apply for PPP money, and also Homedale town was able to receive municipal support from the federal government as well. But I believe that the pilot program money partly definitely needs to go for improving the school system once the Board of Ed discretionary spend is more in check.
Thank you. Next question. This will be about the fire department, and it's addressed first to Mr. Didi. What is your position on an incentive program to increase membership in the fire department? What about a paid fire staff?
Well, I think that first of all, improving the fire department is an extremely important task that needs to be done. Improving our ISO ratings and the fire ratings, in short, is very, very important, not only for safety issues, but also it helps to reduce our home insurance costs. It reduces the cost of capital and improves the bond rating for the school itself, the school system, and for the township to raise any funding through any bond issuances. So I think raising and improving the fire system is extremely important. Number one. Secondly, I don't know why the fire department number one was closed by my opponent, Rocco Improviduto's kin, if I would use that word, his father in the past. And that I believe that in South Homedale, that definitely reduced safety. I'm told that 5 homes, were burnt down in this time period. So I would say that that improving the volunteer system and also encouraging people uh, to participate, and perhaps having some, I don't know, for lack of another word, stipend
Thank
to
you.
begin with, to encourage, I think would
Thank
be
you.
important.
Thank you. The next question, we will start with Mr. Emma. It's about recreation for seniors. If elected, what would you propose to do to benefit our senior residents? Okay, Mr. Didi.
Well, 2 things, that my opponent Rocco said, I'd like to point out. First of all, is if you talk about doctor visits, the issue about liability and seniors comes up. So we need to make sure that we are well protected on that, and that is actually doable, besides the $50,000 that he's actually talking about, which I don't know if it's 50,000, it's higher, but liability, I think, is a very, very important concern regarding that, first of all. Secondly, we've been talking about helping seniors, but the first and foremost thing that seniors are looking for is not to raise taxes. And in order not to raise taxes, because they're not recipients of benefit from the school system for their children usually, I think that talk about additional turf fields probably needs to stop, because we have a turf field, in our school already, and to have an additional turf field, which is essentially going to be used for groups which are for-profit groups, and even though it may be owned by HYAA, but there are groups who are going to be for-profit groups that would come to use it, and groups that are making $1 million in revenue. It needs to be, if it was to be done, it had to be done in a way that that the town would not be paying for that. But I'm glad that the turf field issue, was set aside.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. What is your position on the expansion and lighting of sports fields? 2-part question. And what can be done to protect nearby homeowners who could be impacted by the noise and increased traffic from sports fields on either Cross Farm, Crawford's Corner Road, or the Pool Club? Mr. Didi, please.
Well, regarding the AstroTurf, I've already laid my position out. I probably don't need to repeat that, number one. Number two, as far as traffic loads are concerned, whether it's, whether it's a stadium building or it's AstroTurf, it would definitely increase the traffic load. If it was going to be a closed stadium that was going to be built with a whole bunch of lights coming out, I don't think that in the center of town, a lot of people were going to be happy with that. Number two. The third thing is that I'm for developing fields which are more environmentally oriented. I'm more for developing fields, not regarding AstroTurfs additionally, but hey, maybe we have to think about grass courts. Grass courts, whether it's for tennis. I happen to be a tennis player, so I must say that I'm a little biased regarding that, right? But whether it's for tennis or hockey or for soccer, I think we need to think more about the environment, and all talk about sports field needs to take that into account. That's what I feel. And talking about cross fields, I don't understand. My opponent Rocco is talking about cross fields, and he's for open space, but his father was, I believe, taking the cross fields out. So I think there's some issues that need to be understood over there.
Thank you. Okay, next would be we're going right into turf fields. We'll start with you, Mr. Didi. You may as well continue. How would you address the environmental impacts of artificial turf fields on players and on our water supply?
I've already said my position regarding turf fields. I'm very clear about that. What we have in our Homedale school, is good for the kids. We need to build on that, and any other fields to be built, I don't think that necessarily additional turf fields need to be in Homedale.
Okay, thank you. Okay, the next question, we will start with Mr. Emma. It's about the land swap. What do you plan to do with the sod farm at Cross Farm Park? Keep it as open space, install sports fields, or give it to the county in a land swap? And second part of the question, if that land is traded with the county for the property by the high school, would you put a sports field there on Crawford's Corner Road? Thank you. Mr. Didi, you're last.
Just give a very simple and short answer, if I may. Not use up the 2 minutes at all. Just want to say that I'm neutral on swaps of land being proposed with the county, but feel each specific case needs a review. So I do all issues pertaining to one issue or the other. I think it needs to be reviewed on a case-by-case basis.
Okay, thank you. The next question, considering the longstanding history of flooding on Palmer Avenue, do you think the planning board should approve the Barclay Square development there? Mr. Didi.
I think that basically regarding affordable housing, I believe that the flooding issue, as far as the current, if the Barclay Square complex is passed, it increases the chances for flooding coming from the Palmer Square area. I'm glad that a road was built and was raised so as to reduce the possibility of flooding in the area. But as I understand, the issue of Barclay Square is already in front of the planning board, and what I hear, it's almost about to be passed. So I don't know if the issue of Barclay Square, whether it is it's an issue or not. It looks like it's already a done, pardon me, deal. But the issue is more, regarding how do we plan for 2025, and in the 5 or 10 or 20-year plan further on, the affordable housing issues as they come up, we need to plan to see where additional complexes, if they are to be done according to the state law, where should that be coming in? And we need to plan for that adequately and appropriately, the sewer systems and all those issues involved.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, on to a new topic. We're calling this human relations. We will begin with Mr. Didi. What do you think the blue line on Crawford's Corner Road represents? Would you support removing it, repainting it, or allowing it to fade as was proposed by the Homedale Human Relations Committee?
Again, I'd like to be short on my answer to the question. I believe that the issue, we need to put the data in front of the people, and I believe that people should decide regarding the blue line issue. I don't have a particular position on the blue line issue.
Okay, thank you. Along that same idea of human relations, we will start with Mr. Emma on this question. During this time of heightened discrimination, what will you do to make our Asian community feel safe? Okay, and Mr. Didi.
Well, to connect this question to the previous question, which was regarding the blue line, I want to say, first of all, I come from a family that has always supported the police. My own father-in-law was the state police chief in India, in our state, just like New Jersey is a state here, in our state of Punjab, he was the state police chief, number one. Secondly, of course, being an Asian myself, I come from India originally. I think that the issues that happened, whether it's in Georgia or otherwise, they definitely resonate, amongst the Asian community. I'm the treasurer of the Homedale India Association, which is a good, strong body, and there are other local ethnic groups too that have their own associations, and I'm glad that that the federal government recently passed the appropriate law, which passed through the Senate and the House and signed by the president, that gives better protection to the Asian community, and we want a very safe Homedale, and this is definitely a part of it.
Thank you. Okay, the next question is about affordable housing. We will start with Mr. Improviduto. Development in town, in particular Palmer Avenue, Middle Road, and Potter's Farm, is being driven by affordable housing mandates. How will you address residents' concerns about overdevelopment? Thank you. Mr. Didi.
Well, talk about South Beer Street. I happen to live on South Beer Street, so I'm wondering, well, where exactly he's talking about. I hope it's not the one that's just kitty corner here. Anyways, But I'd like to say that affordable housing, I think we need to make sure that there are state regulations as far as the 5-year, 10-year, and 20-year plan is concerned. We have to take those into account, and I believe at least now with the Palmer Square and the Barclay Square issue, the developments being in place, and the one around Middle Road. I think we've already done our bit, at least as far as this 5-year is concerned. Going forward, we may have to find the appropriate land, or as Rocco says, see how the land can be purchased so that the town has the reserves to decide accordingly.
Thank you. Okay, the next one will begin with Mr. Didi. It's about historic homes. The township owns 2 historic homes on Bayonet Farm and 1 at Cross Farm. What would you like to do with them, and how, if elected, would you make that happen?
Well, as far as historic homes are concerned, they are to be treasured, and I believe that there are both federal and state level programs that are there to help us preserve historic farms, historic homes, and I think we need to make sure that those incentives are made available to both to Homedale and other developers, to be able to preserve those Homedale historic homes. I think we need to make sure that historic homes remain the way they are, and they're architecturally protected appropriately.
Thank you. Okay, the next question is about campaign contributions. We'll begin with Mr. Emma. Have you accepted any campaign contributions from builders, developers, or other professionals doing business with Homedale, or do you plan to in the future? And second part of the question, the Township Committee recently passed an ordinance to restrict campaign donations from affordable housing developers doing business with the town. Should this pay-to-play ordinance be expanded to all professionals? And Mr. Didi.
I think that transparency in developer donations and in the issuance of special ordinances is necessary. I believe there have been cases where developers have donated to certain developments, whether it's the AstroTurf or otherwise, the Capelli complex, where some transparency, I believe, was lacking, if I may so use the word, was lacking. And as far as pay-to-play is concerned, I think this is a very important issue. I hear that the tax map digitization, which was a $160,000 services contract, was awarded, on a single bid basis, whereas I believe any services contracts over 20,000 have to have an RFP and need to go for an RFP. So why was this $160,000 contract awarded without an RFP, and I believe that, it needs to be looked into because was it a pay-to-play issue and certain donations were made, to affect that change? I don't know, but these are certainly issues that need to be looked into. And I'm all for no pay-to-play and transparency in donations
Thank
and
you.
transparency in issuance.
Oh,
Next question. It's about the Rossi, ROSI. We'll start with Mr. Impreviduto. What are the advantages and disadvantages of putting the land by Cross Farm on the Rossi Recreation and Open Space Inventory?
As I said, on land issues, I'm at the moment, I'm neutral. And on a case-by-case basis, as more detail is known and understood, I'll be able to give my input appropriately. I look to join a team and not individually. So there's a team at the Township Council, and I need to consult before I make any such or form my opinion regarding this issue.
Okay, thank you. Next question. We'll begin with Mr. Didi. This is about lawn signs. Many candidates have posted large unsightly political banners about town, which can be distracting for drivers. Would you consider an ordinance that limits political signs to lawn sign size?
Very clear position on this. I think that large banners, as we've been seeing lately from both my opponents, I think they are an eyesore and reduce our community's open space image to ourselves and to New Jersey visitors at large coming through our community. I think we need to have certain rules where such large signs, I believe, should not be there and should be very limited to only certain times, but also only of much smaller sizes. All this brand building is just a little bit, pardon me, going too far.
Okay, thank you. The next question is, we're back to sports, starting with Mr. Emma. Considering the township survey did not point out a substantial need for extra fields, sports fields, why do you think we need them, if you do? And Mr. Didi.
Well, I don't know how Rocco can talk about, on the one hand, reducing taxes for seniors, and on the other hand, perhaps paying for a turf field. I just don't understand, how that is so absolutely essential as far as home bill is concerned. As far as the school is concerned, the school has a turf field, but perhaps, information is ammunition, and we need to organize. Maybe there should be another survey, and that survey in the future can then support or not support such a measure.
Okay, thank you very much. That is the end of our questions. So I will give it back to Karen now.